Hi Charudatta, welcome to our show.
Very good evening. Thank you. It's going to be a traveling show, but I'm happy to join in. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
I think I was on mute. Welcome to our
Yes.
show. Today we are talking on the topic of innovate and elevate tech strategies for MSME profit growth. Without further ado, let's start the session. Uh, on a strategic sides, what are the top three technology trends that MSME should leverage to improve their profitability and revenue?
Specific at the strategic level, they need to start going and accepting the digital first approach. I think one of the change that MSMEs need to do in their particular approach is that they need to now understand that it is very easy for them to reach out to anybody across the world by using technology. So whenever they want to reach and reach out to anyone, so they need to start looking at this digital one approach, this digital first approach. The digital first approach is also going to help them get the right talent and also for them to get the right set of information that they need. So first thing is the about changing the things to looking at a digital first part. The second thing that they need to do is about getting into a transparency. In MSMEs particularly, we have seen this tendency that a lot of times people are not very comfortable just sharing the information with each other, and a lot of times people have this tendency of keeping the information specifically to themselves. So implementing an enterprise system that will give them the right visibility of everything that is happening across. This is the second thing that need to look at in terms of changing that mindset to being transparent. And third thing that they need to look at is currently also to look at that if they need to get the new talent in the business, being open to ideas and being open to the new way of looking at the business is the third thing they need to do. So being the first part is getting the digital first approach. The second part is bringing the transparency by getting the right system, and the third part is being more open to looking at getting the different kind of talent and also ideas into the business.
You that, sir. Can you share some specific examples of MSME having successfully implemented these technologies?
Okay, I'll give you examples on each of the sites. Particularly, I know of a company which is at a very early stage, which is using its all network and digital outreach to do a complete global outsourcing part. So they have reached out to clients across Europe, and they are sourcing different kind of inquiries from this part, and they are generating different inquiries from Europe. And currently, they are sourcing all this particular material from India, China, and various other Asian countries, and that too with just a small manpower of about 10 people. And they have been able to build a very good business in the span of just about 1.5 years. So that is one particular example on purely being first on the revenue side. That's where the digital outreach has helped them. The second example that I'll give is about a company which is into manufacturing, and they were working a lot on companies on producing different items, and all these items were sold to different companies at and there is that they points at selling goods. So they never work for with what has helped them get that terms of young talent, very young startup, which is out of Navi Mumbai here. They're working with very specific business co-working model, and they had an intern who had some specific ideas regarding how the model should be promoted in Navi Mumbai, what kind of people they should have, and work. And that particular thing has worked extremely well for that firm, and they were able to they were able to turn around the entire office space working in a very profitable way. Three specific cases on either side.
Okay. Uh, Coming back to our point, how can MSMEs balance the need of innovation when with the constraints limited to budgets and resources?
Okay, sometimes I believe that budgetary constraints are the best way for driving the innovation, because that is when you start looking at what are things that need to happen, how it could, how things can happen. See, MSMEs in India currently have a very unique position, wherein they have people who have very good experience, people who are used, people have done things in the past in whatever the way that they were able to do, but they have done those things in the past, and along with them they have a fresh talent, which brings in with a very different perspective. So if you are able to bring them together, you can do a lot of frugal engineering. Well, I can give an example of one of the companies that I'm currently working with. They needed some specific set of material, specific set of supports to be produced. So one of the young experienced person, along with the three of the engineers, were able to do the job which would have otherwise costed a company around 25 lakhs within around 2.5 lakhs. So there was a straight away 90% saving in the work that they have done, because they had somebody experienced and they were able to work together to make it happen. That's something amazing which is possible today if you are able to work together. Secondly, coming back purely to the technology part of it, see, look at things like your reach out through LinkedIn. Currently,
Hmm.
a platform like LinkedIn can give you access to anybody across the world, and it is very easily possible for you to reach out. So, if you just do the basic things right and you make those for that particular reach, that itself can be a huge support for you. So, particularly on the sales side, LinkedIn can be a very big one. On the global sourcing side, you have a lot of people whom you can reach out and see different materials from different parts, so you can float the inquiries, get the information from various sites, see what are the kind of alternative things that are available for you. So technology is enabling that frugal mindset that we already have, whether it comes to basically sales side or on this side. Secondly, you also need to understand the whole cost of sales or cost of market that you will say is something that is enabled big time by technology. You can reach out to multiple people, see them. Another part that you also say is something that we dwelling fast. If you want to do something physically and in the physical world, you need to reach out to certain number of people, talk to them, see what is happening, get those particular physical feedbacks, and then only make your opinion and work. But the moment with technology, you can do a lot of online campaigns, run specific set of ads, and see if that is something which is resonating. If it is resonating, great. If it fails to resonate, it's possible for you to do something else. So even failing fast is something that can happen much better with technology now.
Right. Okay. So what you are saying is technology is enabling us to do a lot of work, is what I understand from your point for MSMEs. Wh- what strategies can help them adopt a good return of investment in technology?
Okay, I will give you a specific framework, and I see that as the only way for basically you to get your part. So there's a framework that I called as Digit. Okay, so you need to
Yes.
start by defining your process, then identifying what are your top challenges, then generate ideas to sort those challenges, then look at implementing the right set of technology and transforming your business. If you are not following this particular approach and you implement any system just for the sake of it, it will never give you the return. So the first step for you is to define your process and identify which is your topmost challenge. Only when you know what is your topmost challenge, that is the only thing that will enable you to get it resolved. So identify your top challenges, then accordingly go and implement a system. If your system is going to address those particular challenges, your return on investment not doing that, then you will never get any returns.
Okay. So you'll have to have a technology that supports the business, which can look at profitability or the enhancement is what on the return of investment that we are looking at. Am I right in saying that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
How does
Let me give
data?
you one.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I just want to give
Yeah.
you an example on this particular part, because a lot of people would be able to resonate with this. So one of my friend runs a small company. It's a very early startup, but they have still managed to generate a revenue of about 12 CR, and they are running with
Mhm.
Tally. ओके सो व्हेन
Okay.
वी जैसे कि टैली होगा तो नहीं हमारे पास इतना सिस्टम क्यों चाहिए वी शुड बी गो फॉर ईआरपी सो वी डिड अ कंप्लीट प्रोसेस मैपिंग फॉर हिम एंड वी वांटेड टू अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट आर द challenges that he is facing. So he had challenges on two parts. He was looking at something to manage his workforce in particular part, so seeing how the workforce is getting utilized. Secondly, they wanted to maintain a proper sales data in one particular part, and both the things was something that was not possible in Tally. and he also wanted to look at the costing. So we did a very
Hmm.
simple thing. We went ahead and implemented Google Sheets for him. Okay, so he
Okay.
was able to create a cost calculator in Google. He was able to use the what we can list in a particular sheet by their people to feel. So it is not just about getting the system for the sake of it. If you are just smart enough to see what has to happen, even complementing things like Google Sheet along with the Tally can also be a great help.
Okay. Okay. So it depends on what the business is needing, and it does not need to have
Yes,
a great ERP to look at it, but a tool like see, I understand Tally has been an enterprise class accounting tool, no doubt about it. But that tool can enable a lot of things for a business, is what you are trying to say. Am I right in saying that,
absolutely,
Vijay?
absolutely.
Yeah. Now coming back to, everybody is talking about data analytics and stuff like that. So how does the role of data analytics play in driving MSME's growth? One is that. Second is, and how smaller and medium businesses can leverage this data effectively.
Okay. So I'm going to explain this point only by giving you some very, very specific examples. Okay. Then you would be able
Okay.
to relate with it, and a lot of listeners would also be able to relate with it. Now, I would like to understand as to when you go and look at a business, right? MSM is
Hmm.
what happens is that a lot of times people take a business based on what the situation is. Okay. If you
Okay.
are at a very good situation and you have the money, then you would be very cautious about your the price points where you will get only at a specific rate, you will get that part. The other times when you don't have that business, you will just pick up the business because you need to keep the show running. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
price point ka jo particular part hai, there is no a formal hierarchy which is doing all your cost evaluation and work, right? वो बीच में होते रहता है. So I'll give you an example of data analytics. One company that I knew was selling almost 12% of its production, and this company was good around 300 crore company, right? So they were exporting 12% of their production to one of the African country. Okay, this
Hmm.
particular client was a very good paymaster. They give them the shipment clearance, and he will immediately get the payment. And we
Okay.
were doing their audit, and we did the entire same data analysis. So we did a full analysis of what are their costs, what are their specific price point, how they are selling, and we were deriving the customer wise profitability. When we did
Hmm.
this complete analysis, what we realized is that the product that they were exporting to this African country was getting exported at 95 paise, whereas they were selling the same product in India at 1 rupees 10 paise. Okay,
Okay. Okay.
so 15% difference. So you are exporting when you were actually supposed to get a margin, you are actually selling it with a 3% loss. But you will keep on selling to them very regularly, almost about 3 crores per month, just because you knew that they were very good paymasters. The moment the shipment is out, money is in. So your
Hmm.
cash flow was moving, but that cash flow was actually costing you 3%
Okay.
loss compared to
Okay.
that. So this is the significance of data analysis for you to see how you are working, why specifically you need to look at it, and what are the right things for you to do. Second part that you would realize is you would also need to look at how your people are operating and what is their profitability, how they have been moving over the period of time. All these things also you need to keep on assessing every period of time. Particularly, say how your sales growth is moving, what has been your how sales has moved for your organization. All these points you need to keep on assessing very regularly, because sometimes you know which are the right customers, what are the kind of profitability that they are giving, whether that is the right profitability or not. All these things need to be assessed very regularly. So profitability part, your customer cycle movement part, your material purchase part. I'll not name a MSA, a large corporation, but I have this first-hand example when this company was consolidating the entire SAP for about 45 of their companies. They realized that one particular customer was selling papers to their companies at different rates.
Hmm.
Something
Okay.
like a simple A4 size sheets was sold to 20 odd companies at 20 different rates.
Oh, okay.
So if that can happen at that kind of a level, then imagine what are the smallest things that can happen at a MSME level. So data relying on numbers is the most important thing that we can do at any point in time.
Now you touched on how data is important. can we look at a case study where data analytics significantly impacted the performance of an MSME performance?
Okay, I can give you a lot of them, but I'll give you a very specific one. Okay. Now there is a company which had come to me with a very specific problem that the material
Mm.
loss, okay, was going very high, and the in-process losses very high, and that was making the whole product cost unviable, and the business itself was going in losses. So they wanted
Mm.
to see what is the best way for us to cover this particular cost and work. So we started
Mm.
working on the base part of looking at what the data was, how they are operating, what the different costs are, where it is moving. So we started doing a very basic part of a process-wise mapping. Okay, so if one particular thing is getting produced at one level, so let's go to the next see as to what is the loss at this level, what is the loss at next level, what is the loss at third level. So it was a
Mm.
five-stage process. We did a complete process-wise loss mapping, and we made a respective process owner responsible for that particular loss. Okay,
Okay.
believe me, we were able to bring down the loss by 14% because there
Mm.
was an accountability. See, what happens with data is at the moment the things are in black and white, there is a natural accountability which comes, right? Some point in time, all those details are, all those particular sets are lost in translation, right? Because everything is going, there's an overall loss. But the moment से कि अरे भाई आपके department में इतना loss है, then people come back and say, why me? It's not me, I'm doing well. And if the moment people start believing that they are doing well for their own department, ultimately the company benefits. So this is
Right.
pure on the production side. The second thing which is very important for MSMEs today is also to look at how they are working out on their costing. See, there is a huge pressure in the market currently for MSMEs to be competitive. There are a lot of people, we see a very positive growth in entrepreneurship in India, and that is leading to a situation where we are seeing that a lot of people want to come into the business, they want to start. And all of these people who want to start are willing to compromise on their margins. Okay,
Mm.
it is one of the most dangerous trends that I'm seeing in the market. It has happened for last 4 or 5 years, particularly if you look at the mechanical manufacturing or engineering industry. You would see this trend very strong that a lot of companies have today not been able to survive because of the competition. People have gone low on the margins, and that's when, say, about 2 3 years down the line, they are not able to survive and leave. They need to go.
Mm.
So
Mm.
this is one important thing that people need to look at is that you basically get your entire data and get your costing right.
Correct.
So this is where you need to start this particular part. And once you're done the costing, then basically see if that is actually happening. If you have assumed that I'm going to deploy a team of 12 to do this particular job for 4 months, assume whether 12 people are able to do that or you have to put in 14 or 10 people have done that. If 10 people have done that, you have improved on your margin. But if you have to put in 14, that is what is going to kill your bottom line. So if you are able to achieve whatever that you have planned while you are signing the contract, it's very important for you to keep on analyzing the things throughout any particular project or job.
Mm. Yeah, true. Because if you are able to bring the costs into picture, then you'll track everything that is related to costs, right? So
Absolutely.
that's very, yeah. Okay. Can MSMEs use automation to streamline their operations to reduce costs?
MSMEs today have to go for automation because
Okay.
the talent which is available today is very limited. Okay, so
Mm.
MSMEs have to go for automation if they want to survive. And you look at the cost of automation is really not high, but the level of or the type of automation that we'll talk about in MSME is going to be very different compared to the way automation is spoken about at a larger level. Okay, so
Mm.
MSMEs need to look at a operation at a the whole automation at a very operational level. So, like say in case of IT companies or say banking companies, they move to eKYC or video KYC. A lot of documentation is moved. That has reduced very substantial amount of work for them. Or we see chatbots or other different the conversational tools that we have currently, right? That has reduced the cost for the large corporations, particularly in financial services, the insurance a lot. We see a lot of success stories on that side. Do I need a chatbot in MSME? I may, but generally I may or may not need. But what I need right now is a very small things like say your expense management. So if you have a field sales force which is going to come to your office and then put in all their bills and then spend a half a day every week to pay their bills, doesn't make any sense, right? You
Yeah.
need to give them a small mobile app. They can go travel from one location to another. You have integration with applications like Map My India and all, and that will directly give you how much kilometers they have traveled, multiplied by the rate that you have agreed, and you have a straight away the expense part. So smallest of the thing wherein you can go and improve the productivity is one. Second thing, they also need to look at a lot of regular activities, like in case of regular manufacturing activities like cutting or welding. They also need to look at automation in those spaces, because the core manpower that you need is currently missing. So that is one area, the process automation that they need to bring in it at each of the level. Earlier, a lot of those things worked as a manual for many years, but I don't see them operating in a manual mode now. So those
Oh,
are the operational things that they need to for mechanical. So if you are a services company, how can you automate your call management? How can you ensure that your particular service engineer, whoever is on the site, or service executive, is very regularly getting all the services that you need, or he can do maximum output per day. So things like route planning, the
mm,
proper movement for them, all of them can very comfortably be automated.
okay. No, I think you are right saying that you bring up an automation where you have them to look at an app and we take pointers. That is very
Yes.
important. Now, how can MSMEs look at operation to drive the for the automation? And from your experience, how important is leadership in driving technology innovations within MSMEs?
Okay. MSME, the biggest challenge is that a lot of people out there are followers. Okay.
Hmm.
So leadership becomes a very important thing in MSMEs. Usually, a lot of these companies that you would found are promoter driven. So everybody looks up to that particular leader for anything that they need to do. So as long as that particular leader is aligned to the activities that you want to do, things happen very automatically. But if the leader is not aligned, then there is an issue. Secondly, currently there is also MSMEs. You would typically find, say, old timers, people who have been there with the company for a fairly long period of time, and they set the tone. So when you are looking at automation or change, you need to bring these people into confidence. One of
Yeah.
the challenge that you realize is that because people are there with you for a very long period of time, at some point in time, change becomes scary.
Yeah.
So getting that leadership in confidence, telling them that this whole automation thing or change is not about trying to replace them or compensate them, or look at any replacement or any threat to them, or trying to replace them with some low cost one, right? That is not the idea, because their threats are also genuine, right? They have
Yeah.
practically put their entire life into the company, and if you are there is something which is going to make their life miserable tomorrow, they will make a all genuine attempt to kill it. They may not show you, but at the back end that would happen. So getting
Yeah.
that particular part, getting that leadership into confidence is very important. And the way to manage when I have seen the successes, that promoter having a very open conversation with these individuals, because
Yeah.
they are very deeply and very emotionally attached to the companies, particularly in Indian context. At MSME level also, you will find that a lot of people are there for the with the company primarily for emotional reasons, right?
True.
So
True.
that is a very good way for you to use those particular emotions and tell them, okay, we are at here, we want to say go 3x. Now, whatever that we have done to come to this particular level is not going to take us to 3x. So, the
Yeah.
only way for us to go to that particular 3x is by bringing in the technology. And I'm going to bring in this technology which is going to complement the work that you are doing. And ultimately, irrespective of all the technology, it would be you who would be leading the things. So, technology is not going to be the leader, it is just an enabler for you. So, the moment you manage that particular change well, the same set of leadership can give you some amazing results.
Right. Now, from what you have said is it is more of a culture, I think, from what people stay at longer in organizations, especially in India. It's
Yeah.
more of a support that they have and the comfort that they have. Is keeping that in mind, how qualities of what qualities should MSME leaders cultivate to foster culture of innovation in MSME industry in specific?
Okay. The fundamental thing in cultural leadership that happens, particularly on the MSME side, is that at some point in time they tend to become stagnant, and that is what is the biggest challenge that I've seen. I think the first quality that they need to cultivate in themselves is being open. The moment they are able to bring that openness in them, they would be able to look at different ideas and see what is happening. So that
Okay.
particular mindset is the biggest challenge that I see. That they need to cultivate that openness. The moment they bring that particular openness, things will change in a very different way. They will start seeing the things that in a positive way, and they need to move. So that openness is the next thing which automatically leads to, and that is change. So being open to new ideas, being open to change is one particular part. And one thing that they need to look at is they need to have that trust in themselves. Some point in time, this particular change becomes a little scary. And when it comes to technology, can I do that? Can I not do that? These are the same people who have built those companies from scratch. So if
Yeah.
they could build those companies from the scratch, what is it that the technology is going to challenge them? It is only going to make their life
No,
better.
I think what you're saying is right. When see, people understand technology. See, there was an important saying that came up was that technology is an enabler and it is simple. We have complicated it, is what most of the time we speak about, because we want to have,
Agree.
right, looking at what we are seeing is it is more about having an security. We are introducing another layer. Then you want to bring up some of the blockers on some things that you want to put. These are all pointers that you want to secure, but if you really look at technology, seems to be straightforward, and it is straightforward implementation. Now, how you want to enable security, how you want to build up your applications to bring up those security parameters and secure the environment with not having the data that is getting collected is more important, is what I think. You rightly said that when people build it from scratch, they look at pointers where it is easy for them to access, and that is when the adoption of technology happens, right? So that's where I think, how can leadership of MSME stay updated with the latest technologies, trends, to integrate them into strategic planning? Because you will have to look at strategy while you bring up technology to MSMEs, right? So, and the roadmap also has to look at how it can be taken forward, and it is a long-term vision.
Okay, this is a very great question, and I'm going to answer this in little detail. So, first thing, they need to accept that there is no future for MSME today without a proper technology. Okay,
Correct.
so you accept that technology is going to be integral part of the way the world is moving, and that is why it is extremely important for you to completely become a technology-enabled company. You may not even need to be a technology company. As long as you are a technology enabled company, I think that is absolutely fine. Okay.
Mm,
Now, that is so one part is that you need to look at this technology for sure, that we are going to bring in the technology in our own way. Now, you start bringing in the technology based on what your goals are. So, if your
mm,
goals are going about, say, 3x of your revenue, then you say, look at, okay, wherein this particular business is going to come from. So this is what is going to come from this particular part. This is where I am seeing the success. These are the geographies that I need to reach out to. So you identify those specific geographies and see how you would be able to reach out to those particular part. And the moment you talk about reach, the only thing that's going to drive to or help you reach that particular part is going to be tech. So from a revenue perspective, becomes very integral part of it. Even a basic thing like a simple Zoho CRM or any other CRM that you want to look at it, these are all going to cost you say somewhere about 1,500 rupees to 5,000 rupees per month if you're a small company. But that particular 60,000 rupees that you are going to invest for a year can give you a complete visibility of your sales cycle and how they are moving. So
mm,
starting from there on the revenue side, integrate that whole thing into your revenue. The second part, which is important that when you do, is your bottom line. So you
mm.
want to see as to what my bottom line is. In this
Right.
particular case, bottom line, you identify where have you lost the money. Okay.
Mm,
Currently, if you have executed so many projects, these are the specific pointers wherein I think I have lost the money. This is what I had planned, but eventually I could not get this particular part because I had planned for this, but these are the things that did not go right. So you identify those particular points and you define as to how I'm going to correct those particular part by bringing this. Secondly, when the moment you want to go for a geographical expansion, what happens is that if you're operating from a plant or region, it is very much possible for you to go there and start tracking the things and complete the work. The moment you go out of this particular part and you go to a different location, monitoring becomes very difficult, and the only way that can facilitate that particular monitoring is tech. So
okay.
seeing that even for the execution side, you bring in the tech. The third thing, which is very important, is also from your internal part, and that is something that I would like to bring focus here is about the security. So one of the challenges that you would always find when people talk about this is that how secure the business is and how secure my data is. You would hundreds of times you will find this particular issue that whether my data is particularly secure or not. Do I have the sufficient security in the business or not? How do I prepare for it? Because I'm not. We have never tried for it, right? So they are not the ones who are going to hire great CTOs like you, or they will find it very difficult to have people with that kind of a technology understanding to support them. If those are the things that are not going to happen, then they need to find out some easier means of doing things. And those easier things could mean that it could be a very simple thing like just bringing in some specific technology part or using cloud. I think one of the easiest, the best thing that is going to happen for MSMEs as a business is the use of technology. I see them using technology in a very cloud in a big way because primarily for them, the companies which do not have the all the security infrastructure and all, using cloud is going to be a very big game changer. So they can all use this particular part and use the technology in a big way. So that is where I see three things. So security, looking at the revenue and as well as the profitability, and then ensuring that you have the sufficient data security for your business is something that can be very well leveraged by these companies for when they look at their strategic planning.
Great point there. How should MSMEs prepare to adopt these technologies?
Adoption is first thing, it starts with the mind. My particular take on all this experience is that the first thing that they need to do is that they need to be mentally prepared to use it. I think the success of technology for all these companies is primarily the promoter understanding that why am I getting into this particular technology and getting ready with this tech. So that's the first step when the promoter is ready with the tech. The second step is taking the leadership into confidence, giving
Okay.
them the confidence that they need how that this is not going to be something that is going to create challenges for them. This is complementing them, but giving them that confidence that this is how the business is going to build with them. So taking that leadership into confidence and working is the second part. The third thing that you need to do is that you also need to give them the right set of talent that is required. So one of
Mm.
the things that you would find in this businesses wherein they have faced severe challenges is that they never have the actual the execution people. Okay, and they have a too much of dependence on the technology or implementation partners. You need to understand that the implementation partner, whoever comes with you, is there with a very simple agenda of implementing whatever the system that he or she has supplied to you, implementing that particular part and exiting. The operation and eventually ultimate working is yours. So the ownership is always going to be yours. So unless you bring those particular kind of people who become those particular process owners, the younger talent to work and supplement your senior part, that will not work. So these are the three things that you need for the systems to get very successfully implemented in MSMEs.
Now, how can digital marketing strategies help in expanding their reach and grow their customer base? So on MSME side.
Okay, this is the biggest pain point that you would hear, because according to MSMEs, digital marketing agencies are the people who come and just take their money for no reason. Because the effort that is required to use the digital marketing itself is not properly heard. Because see, digital marketing itself, or the social media, or the tools itself, have no. They are just simple tools, right? So unless you know how to use them, so I can go and buy a nice cricket bat, but it doesn't mean that I can go and play like Kohli or Rohit Sharma, right? I need to put in those many years of effort to make it happen. So all these technologies are just like those bats and all. Very different. That "Okay, I take this particular bat, so I have this BDM bat. I take the equal weightage as of that Sachin Tendulkar, Rohit Sharma, and Kohli, and I'm going to go and hit. It's not going to happen. You need to know how to part, right? It is that something that has to happen. You need to place it. So it doesn't happen that way. And that is where the digital marketing is making a very digital marketing is, to be honest, an abused word in MSME, because they say कि अरे ये तो आके पैसा लेके जाने वाला चक्कर है. So the way to counter that is you need to understand what digital marketing means for your business. For example, if you are a purely B2B player, then digital reach out for you means positioning yourself correctly on LinkedIn, using various platforms like India Mart or any other platform which are more of a sourcing platforms, right? Or there is a new L&T platform which has come, or right now we have the government initiative which is happening, right? So you
Yeah.
place yourself at right level, you register yourself into government schemes, and you use that particular market for building this particular part. So that is what the digital outreach is for you. It doesn't mean that you need to go and post ads on Instagram. Nobody's going to come and buy boilers based on what you are posting on your Instagram or on your Facebook, right? So you need to identify that particular part, see what is the right reach for you, join multiple groups. So I think the for MSMEs the biggest source of information and reach currently is LinkedIn. I think
Mm.
LinkedIn is the gold mine for MSMEs. If they are able to use it correctly and use the right set of people, they would be very largely benefited. And once they know how that particular game happens on LinkedIn and how the reach happens, and then at some point in time when they want to go for B2C, that's a perfect time for them to look at other platforms. But unless they are a B2C company, using all other platforms just for the sake of building that image and creating that present doesn't make sense. So you need to have your own strategy for your own business, not the other way around.
Okay. What are the lessons that MSME can learn from this example? Where you said digital marketing is one example that you said it is not at the right spaces. What are the other examples or lessons that can be learned from this digital experience?
Okay, MSMEs need to understand that the technology today is a big enabler for them to have a very amazing reach out. Okay, so I'll tell you one thing that we need to look at is that right now their first fundamental thing that their marketplace is no more limited by their physical presence.
True,
So if
100%.
whether you are in any tier two city in this country also, you can definitely dream of selling your products anywhere in the world today. Products or services, whatever it is. So first, just open up your mindset saying that ki, now the entire world is my market. May if I am
Hmm.
based in Raipur somewhere, it doesn't mean that I'm going to go and sell only in Chhattisgarh, or if I'm in Indore or Pithampur, which means that only MP is my part, or if I'm in Nashik, then only Nashik, Pune, Mumbai. Not required. You can go anywhere today, and that technology is the enabler for you. So that is the first thing that you need to keep in mind that now for me, I can reach out anyway. And the example that I shared with you for the global sourcing part, they are sourcing so many deals regularly from Europe right now that it's an amazing pipeline. It's they're talking in millions right now within 1.5 years. So it's a great story that if you open up your mind and use social media, what you can do. That is one. The second thing that they need to do is that they need to overcome a mindset that hey, जो मुझे basically I am very good at what I do and that is enough for me to do everything and I don't really need to do anything. Lot of MSMEs have this part कि मेरा है ना बस मेरा technical product है, people are going to come and buy for me. There are no queues for people who are going to come and buy for you. You need to go and make a reach, right? You need to do that. So MSME entrepreneurs need to go for that. One of the things that I have seen, and I think it has worked, I have seen it working well for them, is also to join some networking platforms. So it's a
Sure.
little deviation from the topic, but I'll still like to bring this particular part because people need to open up. Only when you go and look at different success story, how people are operating, see how they are leveraging technology in different ways, they tend to get this idea and work. So getting into some particular platform, even if those mean that the virtual meetings, online meeting, that is absolutely fine. They can get into this particular part. So that I have seen working well. Third
Okay.
is that they need to start looking at how they have changed or adopted technology. Okay, काफी बड़ा जो scary change लगता है ना, तो अगर आप उनका ही business देखेंगे, they would realize that for years together they used to go to companies, follow up for the money, check लेकर आते थे, बैंक में डालते थे, 3 दिन बाद पैसा आता था, right? Now you are
Yeah.
used to that somebody has done the transfer, the amount is in your account, right? So you are used to it. आपने पैसा लेना चालू कर दिया, आपने पैसा लेना चालू कर दिया. कितने ऐसे एमएसएमई थे जिनको बैड एक्सपीरियंस आए? Frauds आते हैं, there is an attempt, right? But that particular number is negligible. If you are
Yeah.
vigilant and you follow some very basic steps, you are naturally not, you would be reasonably safer. See, it is like
Sure.
this. If you are operating in a market or in the whole security paradigm, we say that it is just a matter of time before you are going to get attacked, right? So it is
Mhm.
like so virus attack or some kind of ransomware. There is always a possibility of these kind of things happening, right? You cannot deny. So that is not going to stop you from leveraging the technology itself, right? So
True.
assume that behind every one bad example, there would be at least 100 odd examples of how companies have leveraged technology. So focus on those 100 and not on that one. The side aspect of this is कि थोड़ा WhatsApp पे ध्यान कम करें, because WhatsApp पे anything that goes on the negative spreads like fire on WhatsApp, right? Nobody will go and tell you how companies are leveraging technology well, but a small fraud here and there gets thousands of WhatsApp, और आपको अगर आपके पास 10 ग्रुप, आज की डेट में किसी के पास 50 ग्रुप तो कम से कम है, वो 50 में से 10 ग्रुप में तो आपको वो वायरल का पोस्ट आएगा ही आएगा कि यहाँ पे इतना फ्रॉड हो गया, इतना फ्रॉड हो गया। तो एक ही
True.
देखिए कि अगर वो दैट हैमरिंग ना, it is one specific case. It is like just if you're walking and some point in time, if there is an accident or something that happens, you're not going to stop, right? You are going to accept it and you are still going to move on. It is the same thing, right? So utna accept kare and move on in life. I think that's the way I see MSMEs need to operate.
Yeah, yeah, good pointers there. Where I think there seems to be a lot of things that happen, and you need to look at how effectively this usage is. And you rightly said one word where you're saying things happen, and that's been happening. As you rightly said, there some of accident happen. That doesn't mean we don't drive in the road, right? So
Yes.
that's the kind of reference that you're trying to give us based on your vast experience in the industry. On a personal experience, what would be the final piece of advice that MSMEs should be looking to evaluate their growth on technology, and some insight, if you can say, which can underscore the importance of innovation, is what we want to look at the final pointer that we want to look for this discussion, Charu?
Sure. So the pointer when it comes to innovation, first they need to open up for looking at how technology can help them drive innovation. I'll give you some examples. Now, some of the changes that happened in the last part, like all these small grocery shop owners sending you all the kirana list on your WhatsApp, right? So COVID told us that okay, we need to change, and we very comfortably change ourselves, and we got into those particular parts. Subsequently, now we have got used to the Zeptos and Swiggies and Zomatos of the world. So we have made that change at personal life, right? So and
Yeah.
we have made that particular change. So now we are very comfortable. Kids ordering things online. We are very comfortable paying online. We are very comfortable getting whatever that grocery that we need at odd point in time on this particular part, right? We have all got comfortable used to it. So if we are used to this pattern, it is happening. It is a similar thing will happen in your business also. So don't
True.
expect that there is going to be something different. That disruption is going to happen. It is just a matter of time. So
Yeah.
if you are a smart business person, the only way that for you to grow is to be ahead of this particular curve. So the best way for you to see in your business how you can leverage technology to be ahead of your competition. Otherwise, somebody else will come and then push you back, and you will find it very difficult to recover. So the best way for you to look at the business today is see that how I'm able to leverage technology for innovation. And the pointers for you to come is looking at taking out this mindset of my market. Now your entire world is your market. So that's the first thing that you need to work on. Secondly, ये दिमाग से डाल दो कि लोगों को पता नहीं कि आपके कॉस्ट क्या है। ठीक है, सबको सब पता है, कोई आपको बोले ना बोले, तो सबको आपके कॉस्ट, आप कितना प्रॉफिट बना रहे हो सबको पता है, राइट? सो इट इज बेटर टू ब्रिंग इन अ ट्रांसपेरेंसी इन द सिस्टम एंड मेक पीपल स्टेक होल्डर्स अलॉन्ग विथ यू, ताकि जिस किसी को लगता है कि मैं यहाँ से जाके 4 पैसा और कमाऊं या इधर से कमाऊं, यू बेटर गिव हिम द इंसेंटिव्स फॉर यू टू फॉर हिम टू वर्क विथ यू एंड let them also prosper. You make money and they also make money with you. So that is another thing that you can do with tech, and tech can bring you help you bring those particular controls. So that is one thing that happened. The same technology is going to help you expand geographically. So for you, if you want to look at the geography, that is something that you need. And third thing, जो जिस टाइप के पुराने और मेहनती टाइप के लोग आपको मिलके आपने अपना एमएससी बनाया था, वो टाइप के लोग आपको आज नहीं मिलने वाले हैं. The younger generation has got their priorities sorted, and those priorities are not in line with the old timers. वो आपके पास ज्वाइन हुए, उन्होंने सालों साल आपके साथ काम किया, they helped you bring your company to certain level. अभी वो crowd नहीं रहा, अभी वो mindset नहीं रहा. जो
Right.
बंदा आपके पास आने वाला है, he is going to be there for the time he sees some specific benefit coming out of your business, some proper learning for him coming out of from your business. The moment that is gone, that particular individual is going to exit. So if you
True.
want to build that your company to a certain level, you need a system today. And it is only the system that has worked for you to grow. If you don't have a system and you want to grow based on the people, that is something that is not going to happen with the current generation workforce. You need a proper system for you to grow.
Yeah, I think there's a very important point that you mentioned is Now, we should not depend on people. It should be a process driven or a system driven thing where there are set of things that if there is a set of approvals that is needed, this is the benchmark that has to be happening on saying that this system will take an approval for X amount. And if it is going beyond that, you will have to have a next level of approval. So, or a system that is in place. So, I think what you said is very, very apt when you automate most of the things that happen is bringing up technology into a stage where the auto process happens and the system is able to take care when there is no people around it and the process is going on. That I
Yes.
think is a very important point that you listed out. Thank you for that, Charu. I think with this, I have my pointers. What I wanted to discuss with you on today has been covered up with what I see. And thank you for being on the drive on back from your office and you to pick up this call for us to have this podcast done. It's a kind of support that is unbelievably taken while you are coming back from home. Thank you for that, Charu. With this, we will come to closure of this episode. Thank you for joining us today. Please do follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. We hope this pointer that we discussed with Charu have helped you and had some valuable points to take note of it. Our next podcast is tomorrow, which is 10x return reimaged from deploying yourself and your people. Okay, that's on the 17th of July at 6:30 p.m. Looking forward to you. Thank you, Charu. Thank you for being with us
Thank you
today.
so much.
Any final things that you would like to take, Charu? Otherwise, we are good to conclude.
No, I'm just saying that just start today, and you would
Okay.
see that this technology is going to make a amazing impact to your business. So just start.
Yeah. Thank you, Charu. See
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
See you.